Real English for your daily life.
Master English together.
Have you ever spent a whole afternoon just staring at your computer screen with nothing but silence around you?
Oh, definitely. And after that video call ends, there's no one else to talk to. It feels like you're completely isolated, even if you've been busy all day.
That's exactly the kind of loneliness many people face when working from home. The quiet can sneak in and make your mind wander, and not in a good way. Sometimes it's hard to even fall asleep because you feel empty.
And it's weird, right? Technology was supposed to make remote work easier, but the isolation messes with your motivation and mood.
This episode is made for anyone who's felt that way, and we've combined the latest social neuroscience research to understand how social isolation actually affects your brain.
Plus, we'll share 2 simple but powerful steps that can help you create real emotional connections, even when you're miles apart from your team or friends.
Quick question. How many minutes do you spend talking with someone just to catch up during a workday? Drop the number in your head right now.
Yeah, do you even get to catch up, or is it back-to-back meetings and then crickets? Stick around because there's one surprising thing we discovered about loneliness at home that might change how you see remote work.
This episode is a B1 level, perfect for intermediate English learners. But if you're just starting out, you're more than welcome here too.
I can almost picture some of you listening right now. Maybe you're on your couch or at your kitchen table, headphones on, trying to focus while the world outside seems so far away.
By the end, you'll have that tiny trick to tweak your day, whether it's a quick chat or stepping outside for a moment, that could make all the difference.
And later, we'll break down 5 key words you'll want to know related to loneliness and connection. So, stay with us till the end.
All right, let's dive in and find out how to beat that lonely feeling when you work from home. You know, Noah, I hear so many stories about people feeling completely isolated when they work from home. It's like they're stuck in a bubble, separated from everyone else.
Yeah, the word isolate really fits here. It means to separate yourself or be separated from others, and that can have a huge impact on how we feel. When you're physically alone all day, even with video calls, it's not the same as real connection.
Exactly. One of my friends told me that after every online meeting, she feels drained and lonely. She typed this one afternoon's routine. I spent 6 hours staring at my screen, my room so quiet I could hear my own breathing. After the calls, no one talked anymore. She said it felt like she was stuck in an invisible cage, and the sadness just crept in.
Oh, wow! That sounds intense. That's that feeling of being isolated deep down, even if on the surface you look busy and connected online.
Social neuroscience has uncovered some interesting facts about this. When people experience social isolation, their brains actually react in a way similar to physical pain. It's sometimes called the social pain neuromechanism.
That's fascinating. So loneliness isn't just a mood, it's a biological response.
Yes. When you're starved of meaningful social connection, areas in the brain that process reward, like the ventral striatum, start to underperform. That means your brain stops getting that emotional kick from social interactions.
So even if you scroll through messages or attend meetings, your brain might not recognize those as real emotional rewards.
Right, and that can make you feel blue, which means feeling sad or down. Sometimes people don't understand where that feeling comes from during remote work because they're still busy, but emotionally disconnected.
That makes so much sense. I've noticed that after back-to-back video calls, instead of feeling energized, I often feel empty.
You're not alone. Many people report exactly that. The lack of physical presence makes it hard to build true rapport and emotional connection.
And it's funny, too, because technology was supposed to fix that. We're more connected than ever, but the quality of that connection feels off.
That's absolutely it. Imagine this for a second. You get offline after your day and sit silently in your room. Suddenly, loneliness rushes in. It's almost like your brain is crying out for some real face-to-face connection.
This reminds me, I read about a study that showed people who felt socially isolated had less activity in brain regions linked to pleasure. They literally get less joy from social cues.
And that's why isolation isn't something to take lightly. But what can we do? We can't just undo remote work overnight or magically remove all the quiet moments.
True, but here's where some practical ideas come in. Before we get into solutions, I want to talk about a typical day for me working remotely.
Oh, do tell.
Well, picture this. I start the morning ready to tackle my tasks. Except, after a few hours, I realize I haven't really talked to anyone except my dog. The silence is deafening. I actually freeze at my desk sometimes, just staring at the screen, waiting for something to disrupt the quiet.
That sounds intense and familiar.
It is. On one particularly rough day, I honestly almost forgot what a normal conversation sounded like. Then I realized I needed to do something about not just being physically isolated, but also socially.
That freeze moment is a classic sign of that isolation deep pain, a kind of emotional paralysis.
Exactly. So I started intentionally creating moments during my day to catch up with a colleague or friend, even if just for 15 minutes.
These little check-ins are pure gold for our brains. When you catch up, you're updating each other's news, sharing feelings, real connection.
You know what? It felt awkward at first, switching from work mode to social mode online, but I made a rule. No work talk during those moments. Just chatting about the weather, funny things, daily life.
That sounds like a great way to build what we call a fixed social moment. A regular time each day where you deliberately connect on a human level.
Yes. And speaking about stepping out of isolation, another trick I found helpful was simply to step outside for a few minutes each day.
To step outside?
Yup, not for an hour-long hike, just 5 minutes. Walk around near your home. Notice the trees, the people passing by, the sounds. Those small sensory experiences help wake up those brain circuits related to social awareness.
I can see that. When I step outside, even briefly, it shifts my mood. It's like I'm saying I'm part of something bigger than just this room.
That's the magic. Your brain reconnects with the wider world, which reduces loneliness.
Let's do a quick role play to show what often happens in remote chats that can make us feel isolated and how we can change it. Ready?
Ready. Hey Sarah, how's your day been?
Wait, hold on. That's a very common opening, but it's a bit flat. You just asked a question that invites a short or automatic reply. In remote work, small talk like that can feel like empty words. People often reply with a quick, good or fine, and then the silence creeps back in. Instead, try something like, you won't believe what happened to me this morning, or I've got a funny story from today. Wanna hear?
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. It invites the other person in emotionally.
Or you could say, I really needed to laugh today, so let me share this. That kind of opener builds immediate connection.
Okay, how about this? Sarah, I had this weird moment today. I almost forgot how to have a normal chat.
Perfect. You turned isolation into a shared experience, and suddenly it feels less lonely.
That role play shows how the way we start conversations online matters. If we keep it safe and superficial, we stay isolated. But sharing little stories creates real bonds.
And here's the thing. No one expects you to be super chatty every moment. Even short, real conversations make a difference.
That's the key. Combining those fixed, social moments where you intentionally catch up and small moments when you step outside and reconnect with the world.
But it's not always easy, right? Sometimes you feel blue and just want to stay isolated.
It happens to everyone. And sometimes the harder you try to fight loneliness, the stronger it feels. The brain's chemistry can work against you.
That's where self-compassion comes in, knowing it's okay to struggle without beating yourself up.
So how do we fix this? We can't erase isolation completely, but we can build habits that help our brains feel rewarded by social connection again.
For starters, create your own fixed social moments. Pick a time each day, maybe over coffee, and have a 15-minute chat with a friend or colleague. Make sure it's not about work, it's about sharing small, everyday things.
And then, use that lunch break or afternoon pause to step outside, even if just for 5 minutes. Notice the world around you and any brief moments of social contact, like a quick hello to a neighbor or a smile at a passerby.
These tiny acts help activate brain pathways connected to emotional reward, making loneliness less intense and more manageable.
The trick is to make these moments consistent, so your brain anticipates and looks forward to social rewards even online.
And by the way, there is a phrase for that deliberate effort to build connection from isolation. It's called creating fixed social moments. We'll break it down more later.
That's something I want to learn more about. So many people are feeling like this right now, and these small strategies could make a huge difference.
So here's the real question. If loneliness shows up in remote work, is the answer more social time, or is that just another item on an already packed list?
I think it's more social time, but only if you treat it like real work. If you don't protect it, it disappears. And when that happens, you stay isolated and your mood drops.
But hold on. Some people are already exhausted. If they're juggling deadlines, family, and constant notifications, adding another thing can feel impossible, even if they know they should do it.
That's exactly why it has to be tiny. 15 minutes to catch up isn't a luxury. It's a reset. If you skip it for weeks, you don't just lose connection. You start feeling blue without even noticing why.
I get the logic, but I don't fully buy the idea that social time has to be scheduled like a meeting. Real connection can't always be forced into a calendar block.
I'm not saying it's fake. I'm saying remote work makes spontaneous contact rare. So if you wait for it, you'll stay isolated. The calendar block is just a bridge back to something human.
But what if someone already feels blue and the idea of reaching out feels heavy? They may not have the energy to catch up, even with someone they trust.
Then make it absurdly easy. Send one voice note. Ask one simple question. You're not trying to perform, you're trying to reopen connection. That's different.
I see your point, but I still think there's a hidden problem here. People often assume loneliness means they need more people, when sometimes they're just tired, overstimulated, or quietly overwhelmed.
True, but that's not the same as saying connection doesn't matter. If anything, overwhelm is exactly when people tend to isolate. They stop replying, stop chatting, stop stepping outside, and then the room starts to feel smaller.
That image, the room getting smaller, that's painfully real, and it's why the emotional side matters, not just the productivity side.
Right, because the brain doesn't separate I'm behind on work from I'm alone all day very neatly. It all lands together. When social reward goes down, even simple tasks can feel heavier.
So you're saying the loneliness isn't just a feeling, it becomes a lens, and everything looks harder through it.
Exactly, and that's why I think the two steps matter. Fixed social moments and a short step outside. One gives the mind contact, the other gives the body a change of scene.
But some people might say, I can't just step outside and solve this. They'd be right too. A 5-minute walk doesn't repair every lonely week.
Of course not. It's not a cure-all. But it's a signal. It tells your brain the day isn't only this screen. That small signal can be enough to interrupt the spiral.
I want to push back once more though. If someone feels isolated because their job culture is cold, or because their team never talks about anything real, isn't the larger problem structural rather than personal?
Yes, and I agree with that. A toxic work culture can absolutely make people feel isolated. But even in a bad system, you still need a personal lever. Otherwise, you just keep waiting for the culture to change while you feel blue every day.
That's fair. So maybe the goal isn't to pretend the structure doesn't matter. It's to keep your own connection alive while you work inside it.
Exactly. You don't need to become the office therapist. You just need a few reliable moments where you're not emotionally invisible.
Emotionally invisible sounds dramatic, but also painfully accurate.
I know, and I've been there. I've had days where I thought I was being productive, but really I was just quietly disappearing into my apartment.
Okay, let's make this practical. If someone wants to try the first step, what does a good fixed social moment actually look like?
Simple. Pick one time every day, maybe 3:30 p.m. or right after lunch. Message one person and say, "Got 10 minutes to catch up." Then talk about something non-work, a weird dream, a lunch mistake, a show, anything.
And if you're thinking, that sounds awkward, good. A little awkwardness is better than silence. Silence can isolate you more than you think.
Totally. And for the second step, step outside on purpose. Not to exercise, not to be productive, just to move through the world for 5 minutes and notice people, light, sounds, movement.
So the point is not the distance, it's the mental shift.
Right. You're telling your brain, I'm part of a larger world. That can soften the loneliness, even if it doesn't erase it.
And maybe that's the healthiest way to think about this. Not, I must never feel lonely again, but I can build small patterns that help me recover faster.
That's a much kinder goal. Because once you stop expecting perfection, you stop isolating yourself for being human.
And that's the deeper message here. You don't need to wait until you feel social to make contact. Sometimes contact is what helps you feel social again.
Yes, and if one conversation doesn't fix everything, that's fine. Consistency beats intensity here.
So no grand reinvention, no heroic life overhaul, no magical personality upgrade.
Exactly. Just a few real messages, a short walk, and a little less self-blame.
And if you're listening right now, maybe that's your challenge for today. One catch-up, one step outside, and one honest moment of connection.
Even if it feels small. Small is how the pattern starts. And once the pattern starts, the room doesn't feel quite so empty.
So we've talked about the loneliness, the brain, and those two tiny habits. And now it's time to zoom in on the words behind the story.
Right, because the expressions we use today can help you talk about isolation, connection, and those small shifts that change your day.
We've got 5 useful phrases coming up, and each one showed up in a real moment from the episode.
Let's break them down slowly, so they sound natural when you use them yourself.
So, after that long chat about remote work loneliness, I keep thinking about the word isolate. because that's really the first thing that happens when people work alone too long.
Yes, and in this episode, isolate meant to separate from others or keep alone. You could say remote work can isolate people, and that fits the feeling we described in Act 2. Quiet room, closed door, no human noise.
Exactly. It's not just physical distance. It's the emotional effect too. If a job keeps you isolated every day, your brain starts to expect less social energy, and that can make the whole day feel heavier.
And notice how natural that word sounded in the story. We didn't need a dictionary voice. We just used it in a real situation. I feel isolated after 3 days at home. Short, clear, and very real.
That's the kind of sentence learners can actually use. Now the next word is connection, and this one carries a lot of weight.
Right. Connection is a relationship or a feeling of being linked to someone. So when we said real connection, we meant that sense of being emotionally with another person, not just being on the same app at the same time.
That difference matters a lot. You can have messages, meetings, and notifications all day, but still feel like nobody really sees you. Real connection is when a conversation changes your mood a little, when you feel more human afterward.
I like that. More human afterward is a good test. If a chat leaves you feeling lighter, that's connection doing its job.
And we used it in the episode like this. I miss real connection. Simple, natural, and easy to remember.
Then we had feel blue, which is such a useful phrase because it sounds gentle, but it says a lot.
Yes, feel blue means to feel sad or down. It's not dramatic, but it's honest. You can say, I feel blue when I work alone all day, and people will understand that quiet kind of sadness.
That's the beauty of it. It works for small dips too. Not every bad day is a crisis. Sometimes you're just a bit low, a bit flat, a bit blue.
And because it's so natural, you can use it in everyday English without sounding too formal or too heavy.
Plus, it's much easier to say than, I am experiencing a mild emotional downturn.
Please never say that to a friend.
Please don't. Now, catch up was a big one in our practical advice. We said to catch up with someone for 15 minutes, and that's such a real-life phrase.
To catch up means to talk with someone to update each other's news. So if I say, let's catch up after lunch, I'm not asking for a formal meeting. I just want a relaxed chat about life.
Exactly. It could be a voice note, a call, or a quick message thread. The key is the update. What's new? What happened? How are you really doing?
And because we used it in the story, it feels practical. I caught up with a friend this morning. That's a sentence listeners can borrow right away.
Finally, step outside came up in the second habit, and I love that phrase because it's simple but powerful.
Step outside means to physically leave a building or room. In our episode, it wasn't about a long workout or some big life change. It was just leaving the house for 5 minutes.
Right. You can say, I need to step outside for a bit, and people immediately get it. It suggests movement, fresh air, and a small reset.
And it also works well emotionally because stepping outside can break that stuck feeling. You're still dealing with the same day, but the day doesn't feel exactly the same.
That's why these 5 phrases matter. They're not random vocabulary. They're tied to the real experience of feeling isolated and then finding connection again.
And when you use them in your own life, they can help you talk about your mood, your routines, and your relationships in a much more natural way.
So if one of these phrases feels especially useful to you, just keep hearing it in your head this week and try it in a real moment.
So today we unpacked a tough challenge feeling lonely while working from home and explored how social isolation really affects our brains and emotions.
Right, and more importantly, We shared 2 simple steps to fight that loneliness, creating fixed social moments and taking small moments to step outside.
If you try just one thing from this episode, let it be scheduling a 15-minute non-work chat with a friend or colleague. Even a short catch-up can light up your day in ways you might not expect.
And don't forget about stepping outside, even for just 5 minutes. It's not about exercise, but about reconnecting with the world around you, breathing fresh air, noticing faces, hearing sounds, all of which help your brain reset.
I remember when I first started working remotely. Some days I felt like I was invisible, but a simple walk around the block or a quick call to a friend reminded me that I wasn't alone, and that feeling made all the difference.
Absolutely. These tiny shifts aren't cures, but they're lifelines. Loneliness is real, but with small, consistent actions, it becomes manageable.
Before you go, we want to hear from you. Tell us in the comments, what's one way you plan to build connection into your remote workday?
We read every single comment, and they inspire us to bring even better content to you.
Next week, we'll dive into how to manage stress and stay motivated when your home becomes your office.
Thanks so much for listening and being part of this community. Remember, you're not alone in this journey.
Take care, and see you next time.
Bye for now.